G'day everyone. So welcome to episode 1 of Deception and Other Truths. I started this because there's a couple of things that I want to do. Number 1 is I want to talk about all the stuff that goes behind a really good magic effect. Ever since I started in magic, I have had this sensation of going down the rabbit hole. Each time you discover one thing, it opens up the possibility of a million other things. And that just keeps snowballing and snowballing. And so you realize you actually know less the more you know. It's kind of ridiculous. But my reason for starting this podcast is because I want to talk about that stuff, not only with you, my wonderful viewers and listeners, but also with other people in the industry, with some experts in the industry. Hopefully we can get some incredible people on here like Chris Ramsey, Daniel Madison. Who knows how far this is going to go, but it'll start small. I also want to talk about the nature of deception and psychology and how our brains work, because that stuff is fascinating. And it feeds so heavily into a lot of art forms that if we understand it more, then we can appreciate it more. And that's actually one of the reasons why I'm calling this podcast Deception and Other Truths, is because deception is a part of life. So that's mostly what I want to talk about today. Episode 1, the origins. That's also so I have a forum to let my weirdness out as well, but you'll see more of that in the future. Deception, there's lots of studies in deception. If anyone's read Ian Frisch's Magic is Dead, Ian, I hope I said your name there right. I'm Australian, I do mispronounce things. He talks about deception. And there's a whole chapter, at least a whole chapter, devoted to deception and how it's part of everyday life. Kids, very young kids, 3 and under, are shown to know how to deceive. And when they get to about 5, kids have been shown in studies to be able to actually deceive an adult convincingly. We learn to lie at a very early age. Hell, even dogs can lie. Dogs can deceive humans, which is ridiculous. I can remember my dog we used to feed, my dad or I used to feed her before we went to work in the morning, and my mum would sleep in a little bit. And so our dog Gracie would wake mum up and make mum believe that she hadn't been fed, so she'd get 2 breakfasts. It's the smartest Labrador on the planet. Well, I thought that, and then I realised that no, all dogs apparently can do that. It's just ridiculous. Wish I could lie my way into 2 meals, but anyway. Deception is part of everyday life. We regularly tell little white lies to people. We embellish the stories that we tell each other. So we don't sound like a wuss. We expand the number of drinks we have on a night out, or embellish the reactions we get to things, or embellish how amazing we were at something to impress others. Or on the other side of that, we exaggerate our reactions to things to make others feel more important and feel better. So there's little social lies and deceptions that exist as part of daily life. But there's also deception in our media, in what we read, in what we listen to, in everything. And some deception definitely is malicious. It is designed to mislead and delude people. But I'm not here to talk about conspiracies and how people are out to get each other, because, well, there's enough of that on the internet. And I honestly am getting a little sick and tired of all the hatred that goes around. Hatred for no better reason than we don't understand each other. Which is really not a world I want to live in. I want to see if I can make this world a better place. 4 minutes in and I'm already on my moral high ground. I need to cut that shit out, don't I? The deception I'm really interested in, though, let's get back on topic. The deception I'm really interested in is the stuff that goes into filmmaking and the stuff that goes into storytelling and good magic trick, which ultimately is why we're here. All the really good stories involve deception. In fact, I think there's an Oscar Wilde quote about that. That there is, the great thing about being in front of my computer, I can Google some shit. Right, so I couldn't actually find it. But there is a quote, another quote from Oscar Wilde that I can remember, which is, when we begin to love, we begin to deceive, or something along those lines. And it's very true. We tell stories about ourselves that are embellished so that people will like us. I've already said that. But think about great films. Think about things like, well, look, Inception's a fantastic idea. But there are lots of great films and plays and stories in which you're being set up to think one thing. And then another thing happens. You are deceived. You're tricked into thinking a certain way. Going ahead of the storyline to try and predict what happens next. And then made completely wrong by a change in circumstance. Or by being given a little bit more information. Look at Fight Club, for example, one of my favourite films. Fight Club puts the story, the actual final piece of the puzzle in front of you for the entire film. Now, if you haven't seen Fight Club, I'm not going to ruin it for you because, well, I deal in secrets, I'm not going to ruin it for you. But the final twist of Fight Club, the thing that makes it so juicy, such a well-told story, is the fact that it is hidden in front of you in plain sight for the entirety of the film. And you miss it completely. And I love that kind of stuff. I love that kind of deception where it's been in front of you, you've had the answer the entire time, and it still tricks you. In Darren Brown's latest book, which I have in audiobook format, called The Book of Secrets, he actually talks about a card trick in which you literally do what I've just said. You get a card selected, you perform this effect, and the card appears in front of the person underneath the glass. And the way you do that is by putting it under the glass at the beginning. And then you tell a story, and you use social interaction and you use social norms to make them forget that it's there, if they ever paid attention to it in the first place. We're so caught up in normal social interactions, our brains are so saturated with information that deception is part of daily life, and we can get away with literally anything. Probably also should warn you that these podcasts could potentially be a ramble because, well, my thoughts are a scrambled bunch of shit, and then they just come flowing out as I think of them. Hopefully we can change that, we can get better. But I could go on for a lot longer about deception and all that kind of stuff, but I don't want to bore you with just me talking for 10 minutes, because who the fuck wants to listen to that at this point? You don't know my opinion from someone else's yet. You don't know why it's important, but we'll come to that. So, I'm going to leave it there for now. Hopefully in the future I can get some other people on here talking to, that I can talk to, that we can have a chat with, to get their ideas on deception, playing cards, magic, everything. Because that's why we're here. We want to learn. I definitely want to reach out to my friend Stu McCann. He'll be fantastic to talk to. I always love hanging, and it's an excuse to hang out with him. So, but then I do have dreams. I would love to have Daniel Madison on here. I'd love to have other icons, potentially polarizing icons like Madison, to talk about deception and how they view the world and all that kind of stuff. Because it's through understanding other people and through understanding ourselves that the world becomes more beautiful and more incredible and more wonderful. Again, I've gone philosophical, but that's what I do. My weirdness goes to a metaphysical level. But that is where I want to take this. I do want this to be somewhere where we can discuss ideas and discuss some really interesting topics, and to pour more into whatever we choose as our own personal life, personal art form and personal passion. I almost said personal language, which is a reference to the book The Alchemist, which I definitely recommend reading if you haven't already. Yes, I'll hold it there. That is episode 1 of Deception and Other Truths done. Apologies about the ramble, but I kind of just turned the mic and the camera on and decided to talk. Yes, if there's anyone you want to see on this in the future that I can reach out to, or if you yourself have some views that you really want to chuck on here, we can definitely arrange that. Let me know, comment, message me, anything. I will be responding to all of you, and I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited about where we can take this. So, I will see you on episode 2. Take care, everyone.